In 2009, the ISDE has something of a holiday feel. On the beaches at Figueira de Foz, this coastal resort of some 60,000 souls on the Portuguese central coast. It may be the middle of October, but the weather is wonderful and the locals are profiting from the last days of summer. When you step away from the built-up coastline, there's some natural, almost wild countryside. At this time of the year, the beaches are mostly deserted on the Atlantic coast, and apart from some courageous fishing villages, the Portuguese prefer to enjoy the comforts of a little further inland. Docked at the port of Figueira de Foz, we find the WEC boat, the WEC boat, the World Enduro Championship vessel, present for one last rendezvous.
We're all excited for this fantastic race that we have every year, the 6 days of Enduro, the most important race of Enduro in the world.
Why the 6 days are so important for the FIM?
One of the most important things is that there are a big participation of countries. In the regular World Championship, of course, there are only selected riders, but in this case we have a large selection of, a large participation of country, sometimes 30 or more, and of course a large quantity of riders, between 400 and 500 riders.
So there's no shortage of riders getting a taste of the ISDE legend. Behind France, the country that ruled in Greece a year ago with trophy and women's victories, there are all the usual suspects, including the United States, Italy, Finland, with all their stars, and everyone impatient to get into the sand. But as you can see during the team presentation, the ISDE hasn't just attracted the big European and American teams. It's also the chance for the smaller federation countries to mix it with the big boys, such as Argentina, Venezuela, Australia and Mexico, whose goal is just to make it to the end of the grueling 6 days.
Are you ready? Because we are ready. Let's go!
If you're not familiar with Enduro, then buckle up and pay attention. Here's our instruction manual. In the morning, the riders will pick up their bikes from Parc Ferme. They're allowed 10 minutes to work on the bikes before they have to take the start on time. 3 riders taking off every minute. Punctuality is a virtue in Enduro. We take to the roads first to get out of the city. And as you head into the country, the Portuguese roads turn into technically challenging tracks. The Enduro and the ISDE is also this: the different nationalities and riders getting to know each other through a 6-day cultural exchange, and they always need a little solidarity at one time or another. During the liaison stages, you need to keep to the schedule. It's simple. Depending on how quickly they complete the liaisons, the riders will have more or less time to meet the controls. That means more or less time to work on the bikes and fill up with petrol at the assistance area before the checkpoints. If the riders avoid any penalties on the liaison, they'll be separated on the special stages where only their time will count. And there you have it. Now you're ready. After an entire week of reconnaissance, the 84th ISDE is ready to begin. And it's the hottest day of the week, pushing 30 degrees Celsius, which welcomes the riders. The sand will be the #1 opponent for the riders on day one, representing more than 60% of the course, starting with the liaison. The track is yet showing the wear and tear of usage. For all, this first day is about getting into the swing, and the Portuguese organisers have provided a relatively easy start to proceedings. Above all, there's sand in 3 of the 4 special stages of the day, one of the surprises of this ISDE. After a week's preparation, some will be forced to retire on the very first special. That was the case for the Belgian Jean-François Goblet with a broken clutch. There was also retirements for one of the big favourites, the 2008 American revelation and winner of the Walk Series, Kawasaki's Ricky Dietrich.
I didn't even make it through the first test. I'm pretty bummed about it. I was really looking forward to this one too. I feel like I'm a great sand rider, and walking all the tests and stuff, I figured everything would suit me well, but unfortunately the bike came apart. I had a pipe come apart, and then the clutch came apart after that. I'm gonna be here doing the best I can for him. It's a team effort, and gonna do the best I can even though I'm not on the bike.
There was only one dirt special on the first day, and it made its way through the ruins of an ancient village. The riders that look comfortable on the sand are not necessarily so at ease in this tricky section. It's more akin to the regular World Endurance Championship specials. The difference does not jump out at you, but Damon Huffman is being conservative. You have to remember that aside from the physique of a banker, he was a supercross demon in the 90s, winning 2 125cc titles. Here, he's an ISDE debutant.
There's a lot to think about, and you got to really pay attention, but I'm having a good time. When it's all said and done, for my career, this is definitely a big highlight in my career.
The trophy is the ISDE's top prize. The best countries are here with teams of 6 riders, and each day they can abandon their worst result. That's what we call their joker. The French are the reigning champions, and like every first day, they're leading the way. They have an ability to go extremely fast on virgin terrain. Thanks mostly to the performances of Christophe Nombotin, the fastest man of the day, the French maintain their tradition and lead by 51 seconds at the end of day one. Behind France comes Finland. The Scandinavians are sand racers in their very core. For the Finns, Eero Remes is the fastest. In terms of pure speed, he's one of the world's quickest. That is, while the technical level is not too high, like here in Portugal. Third on day one, we find the Italians 1 minute 44 down on the French. The Squadra Azzurra have called upon the man that led them to victory in Chile in 2007 in similar conditions, the motocross rider Alex Salvini. They're also counting on their experienced Alessandro Bellometti. We gave him a little camera and sent him off to film behind the scenes of the Squadra Azzurra.
Ciao, sono Luca Cherubini.
Ciao, sono Mori Nicolò, corro.
Sono Jonathan Manzi, corro.
Sono Michael Pogno.
Sono Edoardo D'Ambrosio.
Massimo Mancini, Hectori, Forza Italia.
Forza Italia, stiamo mangiando tutti quanti.
Well, here's the whole team eating together.
Piloti. Un altro.
Volete ripulire Marco, volete ripulire?
Questo è il nostro cuoco, mega cuoco.
And here's the chef, super chef. We call him chef, but he's actually just turning on the oven.
Cuoco, diciamo quello che accende i fornelli.
Grande, grande. Tanto ti respiro qua che si gira. Ti respiro che gira.
Allora qua il sughetto.
The sauce all'italiano.
Mentre mangiamo. Avanti. Italia, mangia. Che faccio? Ma dai mica dormire 9 con le galline, figa.
Well, you're not going to bed now. It's early. If you go to bed too early, you won't be able to sleep. Recognizable thanks to their green number plates, the juniors are the future stars of Enduro. Just like their senior compatriots, the French under-23 team are the fastest on day one, but only just. 1.28 seconds separates Les Français from the US of A. The Americans are here with yet another very promising generation, starting with their captain, Russell Bobbitt. Spain are third, 22 seconds adrift after being dealt a real blow. Their captain, Oriol Mena, seriously shaken up after a big crash. He finished the day despite the pain so as not to penalise his team. ISDE Day 2. The show isn't just during the special stages, but also in the mornings at the assistant areas, where the riders have 10 minutes to work on the bikes themselves. A little carburetor tweaking for Finland's Samueli Aro, while Antoine Mayo, the Frenchman, changes his shocks just in time. And a change of the rules for Day 2. The riders take off in order of their individual standings. In other words, all the best take off at the same time and battle it out in identical conditions. The course is the same as Day 1, and we head off south of Figueira da Foz. The liaison sectors head towards the checkpoints and assistant areas. Here, more than anywhere, you have to look after your machine to ensure you get to the end of the 6-day adventure. Between the hard dirt and the soft sand, the riders take time to adjust their suspension. On the sand, it's not fundamental, but I'm starting to tire a little, so a little help from the fork is always welcome. The Finn Juha Salminen looks like he's got out the wrong side of bed. His BMW is starting to show some worrying signs. In the trophy category, each day brings another top-class retirement. After the American Ricky Dietrich on Day 1, it was David Knight's turn to quit the ISDE. The victim of gearbox trouble, the Breton, fell and was knocked out during the Enduro test. He threw in the towel, and Great Britain team were down to a modest 9th place, despite banking on the experience of Paul Edmondson, the fastest Englishman on Day 1.
A lot of 6 days, maybe 17, 18, and I have a lot of gold medals, but the goal is to get one more, and then I should have the most from any rider in the 6 days. So a bit of history there for me, and this 6 days, beautiful place, lovely country, and you know, for me, riding in the sand is always a bonus. So it's a beautiful place, and I'm glad I'm here.
Things are a little better for Sweden. They climbed 2 places on Day 2, leapfrogging Australia and the USA into 4th. In the Swedish camp, the fastest rider is Joachim Ljunggren on his factory Huseberg. Here he takes us through the Super Special, the timed sector that the riders complete at the end of each day on the beach at Figueira da Foz.
Really not the same like hardpack. You really need to sit on the back, almost on the rear fender, and try to get the grip in the sand. It's really heavy for the bike. So for me it's good. I'm tall and I'm always sitting far on the back, so I like it very much, and it's so nice location on the beach.
Italy on this terrain, which is deteriorating more and more with each passage, should be getting better, but they lost more ground on Day 2 and still lie 3rd in the overall standings. Salvini is still their fastest man, ahead of Simone Albergoni, who has a real battle on his hands against the Frenchman Julien Gauthier and the Finn Eero Remes in his category. At the end of 2 days' competition, Finland are second, 2 minutes to the good of Italy. Yet it's anything but trouble-free. Simo Kirsi broke 2 fingers on Day 1. As for Juha Salminen, he's his team's joker on Day 2 after his bike stopped. and lost 3 minutes in the middle of a special. Not impressed. France are leading the battle for the trophy and have even extended their lead, even though the French medical staff has been hard at work. Wisdom teeth for Antoine Mayo, wrist pain for Julien Gauthier, and a very worrying eye injury for Marc Germain, the man that replaced captain Sébastien Guillaume at the last minute. And what about Portugal in all of this? Well, the host nation is doing very well. They're currently occupying 7th place and are thrilling the home fans a little more with each stage. Helder Rodrigues is the leading light in Portuguese enduro racing. After more than a decade at the top of world enduro, he's the man that's taken the sport to his nation.
No, enduro in Portugal is coming up, and me, I make enduro many years, and then Dakar, it's coming up.
As for Luis Correa, he's been the revelation of the ISDE. At just 23 years of age, he's taking part in his first enduro adventure and is second in the Enduro 2 category. Correa, in just 6 days, will become the new jewel in Portugal's enduro crown.
No enduro rider, just Portuguese championship motocross rider, and last year I'm practice for 5 last GPs. And motocross, this is my life is motocross. Just the people tell me, come to 6 days. Maybe it's beautiful for you, and I come.
You like?
Yes. Yesterday I not like so much because the motocross is different. You know the tracks, you know the circuits. Now it's everything. You put the gas and you don't know the circuits, but today is I know, and I push more, and the good result for me.
With perfect organisation, the Portuguese are showing the world once again that they can work wonders in putting on a major event. As for the public, they're motorsports mad, and that certainly doesn't hurt. In the junior competition, it couldn't get much tighter. While Oriol Mena is gritting his teeth and doing it tough, his Spanish teammates Mario Roman, Lorenzo Santolino and Victor Guerrero are attacking, and they take the lead just 13 seconds ahead of France. Here's the Frenchman Yannick Bossy giving himself a little scare. The French junior team has perhaps a little less international experience than their Spanish rivals. They've lost the lead and they have less than 2 seconds advantage over the junior Americans. An American team that has no more joker option after losing the services of David Camo. Change of scene on day 3. We head to the north of Figueira da Foz and the coast with an incredible view of the Atlantic. The riders have to be careful heading down the descent, a minefield of pitfalls. No problems for the stars of the 6 days who arrive on time at the checkpoint. A new course means new specials as well, a little less sand and above all a decisive enduro test on rocky terrain that bears more than a passing resemblance to a WEC special. You might ask yourself, just who is this fast rider taking us on board? Well, he is a she, none other than the lovely French rider Ludovine Puy. There are 5 countries and 15 riders taking part in the women's 6 days, and Ludovine Puy is leading in the overall individual standings. Well, it was a special that meant a lot for us because it was a French-styled stage. Since the start of the event, we've had a lot of sand and our opponents took a lot of time out of us. We needed to turn it around. This special was for us. The French ladies have a 6-minute lead over the Swedish, with the Australians in third. In the trophy, we're expecting more from the US. Only 6th, 16 minutes down on the leaders. Some anticipated this young generation to lay the foundations for future wins in the ISDE, but behind Kurt Caselli, the charismatic team leader, they're lacking experience.
Damon Huffman and Timmy Wiegand, it's their first time here, and we try to help them out a little bit. Nathan Caney and myself, we've done a few of these and World Enduro, so we kind of know the format, and it's a lot different from what they're used to. You know, these guys, it's kind of like the same stuff, but for us, it's completely different from anything we do all year, so we had to help them out a little bit and walk in the test, and they're tired of walking. They said, I'm never walking again. So it's okay, though.
Like each year, Australia is ever improving on the international enduro stage, and they've really laid down the gauntlet to the Swedes, retaking 4th place for 45 seconds. It's been most notably the veteran Stefan Merriman that has seen the Wallabies raise their level. It's been a tough day for the Italians. The Squadra Azzurra didn't actually make any mistakes, but they've conceded a lot of seconds to the French. Riders such as Alessandro Botturi and Alessandro Bellometti haven't shown what they're capable of. In what was billed as the battle for the victory, the Italians have been cut adrift. They're now 4 minutes 33 behind their French rivals. Incredibly quick on the virgin tracks, the reigning champions keep extending their lead. Christophe Nombotin, Rodrigue Tin and Antoine Mayo are a cut above the opposition in their respective categories. France take another big step towards the title, going more than 3 minutes quicker than their nearest rivals. Despite that though, it's a fragile advantage, and it's thanks only to Marc Germain. Since the opening day, he's been racing with just one eye open. What's really helped is the fact that we're on hard terrain now, and in the middle there's a black line. If I'm a little off balance, I manage to realign myself. But there's still a bit of sand, it's very physical, I'm pretty tired and a little jumpy. I'm kind of at the end of the line. This morning I thought I was going to call it a day 10 times. I just couldn't go on. Luckily all my mates in the team have been encouraging me, and that motivates me to go a little further each time. It's thanks to them that I finished this day. I'm going to try and go as far as possible, but I can't promise I'll make it to the end. At least I'll have given it my best. The big disappointment of the day is Finland. Juha Salminen is the 3rd big star to retire from the 6 days, victim of mechanical problems. Add to that an injury to Kirsi, and Finland drop 1 more place. Quick look at the standings. At the midway point of the trophy, France have the lead from the start, but it's still tight between Italy and Finland.
Le monde d'Enduro vous a régalé durant toute la saison. Retrouvez-en les meilleurs moments dans ce résumé qui revient sur les 3 catégories et célèbre le 2e titre de Johnny Aubert comme il se doit. Le WEC Review, c'est ce soir à partir de 21h sur Motors TV.
HM Honda, 5 fois champion du monde d'enduro.
After Bellometti for Italy, now it's Finland captain Samuli Aro's turn to take the camera and show us the backstage of his team.
Welcome to Team Finland. Now we go to our restaurant. Here's the information. Let's go to see what we have to eat today.
We have lasagna.
Lasagna, finlandese. Lasagna. What? Lasagna al forno. Okay. What do we have here? Hotel Team Finland.
Tomorrow can you give me a jersey?
No, I'm sorry.
Oh well. Thank you.
Results. This is gonna be fun.
To bring the curtain down on day 3 of the event, let's take a look at the juniors. It's still as tight as ever between the leaders Spain and their rivals France. The two teams set almost identical times in each of the special stages. Oriol Mena is still suffering badly, but he's the fastest Spaniard out there. A look at the standings. Just 15.48 seconds separate the two teams. The USA have lost a little ground in third. The 6 days are into the final straight and there's still everything to race for. No matter where they are, the nations are battling it out tooth and nail. And a big hats off to the young Swiss team who are giving it everything. '11th in the standings, Germany are racing at 2 speeds because behind the country's champion, Markus Kür, already a well-known in the World Championship, the Germans are losing ground. The same can be said for Poland in 10th. The Polish teammates are struggling to match the pace of their leader, Michał Schuster. Winner in the E1 category yesterday, Schuster even knocked off Remis and Albagoni. At the end of the 4th day, the Dutch are 9th. The sand isn't a problem for the Netherlands. Where they're struggling is in the dirt specials, and Erwin Plekkenpo ran into a few mechanical problems. It was a 4th day best forgotten for Finland. Already without Salminen, the problems were compounded by Simo Kirsi. Forced into repairs, he inflicted 13 minutes of penalties, and as a result, they dropped from 3rd to 6th. Everyone took advantage. The USA are now up to 5th. Sweden slipped into 4th place, behind the impressive Australians. All these countries fighting for a place on the podium are covered by just 6 minutes. Ahead and battling for the victory on a course deteriorating by the run, and hence not to their advantage, the French need to hold their own because we know the Italians excel in these conditions. It's a critical day for the likes of Julien Gauthier and Marc Bourgeois, the most adapted riders on the French team to this type of terrain. Mission accomplished, they lost only 8 seconds. The Italians can't be too hard on themselves though, they've worked very hard, especially Simone Albagoni, still 2nd in his class. But with just 2 days to go, the Squadra Azzurra know that victory won't be easy.
La strategia
Well, the strategy now is to succeed in holding on to our second place and not make any mistakes, because France are very strong. If they don't have any problems, then second place is what we deserve.
Per noi il secondo posto è la nostra posizione.
Despite the gaps remaining minuscule in the green plates of the juniors, it was still status quo. The new Italian generation in fourth know they'll struggle to defend their title, won a year earlier by Thomas Aldrati and his team. The USA have got the drop on them, led today by Corey Buttrick, the fastest in the team. France continue to ride at an excellent standard, but the Spaniards have done it. They've managed to open up a little daylight at the front. The six-day junior leaders are now 2 minutes to the good. With 2 days to go, the riders are paying extra attention to their machines. With the demands of the Sandy Specials, the clutches have been run into the ground and some decide to get in before they get out. Every movement is crucial. The best can change it in just 5 minutes. The exhaust silencers are also closely monitored because, as well as having to remain on the pace, they're subject to regular controls by the FIM's technical commissioners. The riders can change them once before they get a decibel reading and a rubber stamp.
Only new exhaust because it's soft sand and that silencer is very hot all the time, and now we change new one.
Well, we have environmental rules which are relatively strict and we have to enforce them. Obviously, the silencer can deteriorate in its efficiency. The fact that we check the machine during the event, that is after a special or a time check, we can see if the material is still within the norms, as it was at the start.
Nous permet de savoir si le matériel reste conforme tel qu'il a été contrôlé initialement durant l'épreuve.
The FIM overlooks the exhaust constructors work hard. The Enduro family is doing the right thing. It's day 5 and the ISDE survivors set out for a new course. It's also the day where everything could have changed for Les Bleus. Frenchman Julien Gauthier was forced to retire with engine trouble. France now has no joker and thought their chances of victory were evaporating just as long as it took Marc Germain to repair an electrical fault. Repairs in extremis, but a tribute to his art. Meanwhile, the trio of Tam, Meo and Nombotin worked as a team. The result at the end of the 5th day, the French almost threw it away but survived, with the lead cut back to just 4 minutes and 19 seconds. Obviously, Italy thought it was to be their lucky day, and despite an off day for an exhausted Alessandro Botturi, France's rivals tried to move up another gear. Certain riders have a habit of surpassing themselves on the ISDE, such as Oscar Balletti. Others struggle, such as Fabio Mossini, less competitive than he is throughout the regular season. Australia were trying to hang on for an incredible 3rd place, but when they lost Stefan Merriman on day 5, they saw Finland reel them back in. Finishing in the top 3 is a point of honour for the Enduro Giants, and Iro Remes and Samuli Aro both emerged victorious in their categories. 1 minute 30 now separates the two nations, who will take the battle for 3rd into the final day. Luis Correa was victorious in his class, and Portugal climbed to 5th in the trophy. The 6 days has already been a success for the home nation. The locals are in a battle for the top 5 with Sweden, a Sweden without Bjorn Karlsson, and the United States without Caselli. And there's nothing between the 3 of them. It's also incredibly close in the juniors. Spain and France matched each other second for second, and on the eve of the final day there remains 2 minutes and 9 seconds between the Spaniards and the chasing Frenchmen. But don't forget about the USA, who aren't that far behind and can count on the super quick Jamie Lanza, one of these unknown that bursts onto the scene during the 6 days. He may have the stature of a jockey, but he's a veritable artist on the bike, and all of that at just 16 years of age. Whether it be in the trophy, the juniors or the women, France is starring at the highest level in world enduro. Now let's have a look at the team behind the helmet with Antoine Maillot. 6:15 a.m. and we get up for breakfast. This is what you call the calm before the storm, not a movement in the paddock. This is Fifi, the cook. And this is Fortunato, who's going to eat 2 jars of chocolate spread. And now we'll show you what we've been putting up with for a week. What are those girls doing? How was your day? Average. What did the boss shout at you for? Well, what happened? Why was the boss angry? Well, on the first one I fell and he said, stop complaining and stay on your 2 wheels. And the second? Well, I stayed on 2 wheels and he asked me what my problem was. The third then? Well, on the third I gave it everything, but still no better. Well, here we are, Saturday morning. Nombot is preparing for the cross final. What do you think about the day to come? Well, we're going to win. Well said. And here it is, the famous ISDE motocross final. It's a tradition on the 6th day that all the riders get together for a round of motocross where it's not the position you finish, but the time you set that counts. The backdrop for this motocross final is an international circuit, the prestigious Agueda circuit. Known all over the world for the color of the dirt, the Agueda is a brilliant motocross track with plenty of overtaking opportunities. And we start the grand finale with the women riders in the ISDE. The French Mademoiselles are leading the competition, followed a long way back by the Swedes. There are 15 women to take the start, and it's a Swedish rider that gets the best. Sandra Andriansson, injured on the first day, is back to her best and really quite impressive. After just 2 laps, she already has a big lead. The French weren't far behind, with Ludivine Puy looking to hold on to second and her overall lead. But in the end, no problems for Sandra Adriansson, who took the checkered flag. But it was France with Audrey Rossat, Ludivine Puy and Stephanie Buisson that took out the women's ISDE, with a special mention for the captain, who also claimed the individual overall. Back-to-back wins for the French after victory in Greece last year. Well, I just can't go on. My arms really hurt. I couldn't hold my bike up after 2 laps. Well, same, really sore arms. We were nervous before the start, but we're over the moon now. Same again, the arms. But we're all happy. We did what we had to do, and we're the champions. We did it. We won. And here are the final standings then. France from Sweden and Australia in third. Now it's time for the boys, and first up, Enduro 1, where we find some excellent motocross riders such as the legend Damon Huffman or the Finnish champion and specialist Eero Remes, who's just come off the nation's motocross championship. But it's also a first act for France-Italy. Marc Germain, all on his lonesome, can't afford to make any mistakes. At the start, it was the favourite, Iro Remes, who got the whole shot. Marc Germain, like his two Italian rivals, are back in the pack, behind two Americans, including the impressive Jamie Lancer, one of the real surprises of the ISDE, who moved up to second behind Remes. Fabio Mussino was working well for the Italian team, piling on the pressure and climbing past the American Timmy Wygand and into third place. On the other hand, Simone Albagoni was struggling for the moment. He's behind Marc Germain, surprisingly quick in this Enduro 1 class. The riders only had 7 laps to complete, and Iro Remes rode to the win and also the Enduro 1 crown, his first big success on the world Enduro scene. Fabio Mussini finished third, and a little further back Marc Germain came home in 11th, 2 places ahead of Simone Albagoni. France has only lost a handful of seconds and remains comfortably out of front. The drama rises another notch in Enduro 2. For the French, the experienced Roderick Tin and Marc Bourgeois. For the Italians, Oscar Balletti and Alessandro Bellometti. And they're off in Enduro 2. Luis Correa knows this track like the back of his hand and takes it out in front. Behind him, the former crossman Roderick Tin. Then comes Cristobal Guerrero and Carl Suy. Alessandro Bellometti is also on the pace for Italy. Marc Bourgeois here is sticking with the leaders. Correa leading, Tin in second. It took 5 laps for Alessandro Bellometti to get past Su and then Guerrero. Bellometti, the Italian, is up to third. In the meantime, Luis Correa is putting on a recital for the Portuguese fans, and Roderick Tin is staying on his wheel. He's playing it smart for the team. His teammate Marc Bourgeois is 16th, and keeping a close watch on the Italian Balletti. It's also changing face in the junior class, where Spain is locked in a tie with France, including Sebastian Bozzo. There's still everything to win or lose in the under-23s. Correa took the win though, and the locals celebrate. Roderick Tin came home in second ahead of his rival Alessandro Bellometti, who takes out the individual prize in the ISDE. Italy attacked, but France stood its ground. You can cut the tension with a knife now. Everything has come down to the final round. Salvini and Botturi for Italy, Meo and Nombotin for France. The motocross GP rider Alex Salvini logically gets the best getaway. Meo and Nombotin are right behind him. Samuli Aro is there as well, while Botturi gets caught up in the traffic. France are in an ideal position, but Antoine Meo is a gambler, and he decides to go out after Salvini before getting the message from the pit to cool down. France are also in the hunt for the junior title, but have a look at Yannick Bossi's rear wheel. He has to drop off the pace of Oriol Mena, and to go with it, go France's chances of victory. Alex Salvini goes on to take the win for Italy, but it's all done and dusted for France. Antoine Meo and Christophe Nombotin offer up the ultimate prize for Les Bleus. France is Enduro Team World Champion.
L'année dernière, on avait déjà fait, donc on connaît, mais
well, last year we did it, so we know what it takes and we know what it feels like. But even so, the team worked so hard. The riders, of course, but everyone. The doctor worked overtime, the physios, the cook, the mechanics, everyone. In the end, I didn't have to do anything. I'd get to checkpoints and have nothing to do. Everything worked like clockwork. They fixed every little problem immediately. They anticipated problems, and it's just great to work with pros. A big thank you to them all. It's the second consecutive title for France and the fourth in history. But the hero of these 6 days is without a doubt Christophe Nombotin, the individual winner of the 84th ISDE. He adds his name to the list of greats. I can't quite believe it. To win the individual over 6 days was just not imaginable. It's true that I've improved a lot towards the end of the season. I'd like to thank my family, my team that worked so hard, and my motorbike, which is so good. It's thanks to it that I'm here now. Here's the final podium and the top 5 for the 6 days. France getting across the line ahead of Italy. Finland got 3rd place in the motocross final at the expense of Australia, and Portugal came home 6th. In the juniors, 2 years on, and the Spanish regained their crown after Italy last year. A very promising Spanish generation by the looks of things, led by the inimitable captain Oriol Mena. Well, we've just finished the 6 days and I'm delighted with the win. I think we worked really well. Lorenzo Santolini, Victor Guerrero and Mario Roman did really strong. The motocross final was almost made the difference for the Spanish, but in the end they were deserved winners. The USA finished on the podium ahead of Italy and Sweden in a tremendous end to the 2009 ISDE.
They all liked. I think the fact that we did the motocross, the final motocross in a real motocross track was quite important. We had a podium, we had a lot of TV coverage. I think they also liked the fact that we were by the sea. So it was, I think they liked.
The 84th ISDE from Figueira da Foz is over, and all the winners and losers can take a well-earned break before doing it all again next year for the 6 days of 2010 from Morelia in Mexico.